If you have a cell phone or a pager, please turn it off or set it to stun. Nobody has a pager anymore. But I was just in a hospital, so I'm just, thinking pagers. Baruch Dayan Hamet, we praise the Judge of Truth. I'd like to begin with a couple of Psalms. We'll begin with Psalm 121. Asai enai el haharim me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yitain lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka v'yorech balayla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra. Yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzedcha uvuecha me'ata v'ad olam. I lift my eyes to the mountains. From whence cometh my help? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. The Lord will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian. He is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. He will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Death has taken your dear Lindy Tucker. Friends grieve in their darkened world, and let their silence there is lamentation, in their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Lindy's love that united so many people in life and which death cannot sever. For her companionship that was shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and mind, which brought joy and happiness, and now is a precious remembrance. For all of these and more, we give our thanks to God. It is a time of grief, and so we listen once again to the voice of our sacred scriptures from Sefer Tehillim, from the book of Psalms. It brings us the ever-new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Together let us recite in the English the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And now it's a privilege to call forward to eulogize our dear Lindy. She is going to be eulogized first by her brother Scott, and then Ashley and Allison. Somebody have a phone? Is that what that was? Oh. Did I not give the instructions? This is not the first time you didn't listen. Oh my goodness, boy, we can go a long way with this one. All right, Scott. Oh yes, please. I thought that was the bell as I grab it. You talk. No, all right.
I think I came prepared, more or less. Well, aside from being the most caring, our sister Lindy, I think, was the funniest person in our family. Maybe the funniest person I really have ever known. You know, she'd tell stories that would have you rolling on the floor laughing. I think all of you know that. And really, the only people I think that kind of came close to her storytelling were Maria and Paul Trentinelli, that our neighbors. But when we were children, our family, the Hemlocks and the Trentinellis, well, we were really like one family. We would terrorize the neighborhood, much to our parents' chagrin. And the bad things, I think, like raiding our neighbor's garden so that we can make pickled tomatoes, ordering pizza for the woman that lived across the street that was always mean to us. I think those ideas, were mainly my brother Steve's and Paul's ideas. But we also did some good things, and I think like when we would trade our kosher dill pickles with the Trentinellis for their hard salami. When we made these passes that we would sew on our swimming trunks for the Trent Lock swimming pool that we had made. So, and finally, we strung a can between the two houses on a string with pulleys on the end so that we could communicate with one another after we were supposed to be inside and sleeping. So, and I think those good ideas, were more like Lindy and Maria's ideas, right? So, but, Lindy really, from what I recall, was really never mean, except when she would tell our sister Sherry that she was adopted. All that would have been fine, if she was adopted, we'd have still loved her like a sister. But that could be pretty traumatizing for a little girl that's afraid of chipmunks. But, they grew to be best friends. So, as only two loving sisters could. But Lindy was the oldest sister, and she naturally took care of us when we were children. And then in her adult life, she took care of our mom when she was ill. She kept us aware of what was happening with our brother when he was in the hospital and was with him when he passed. So, she was there for him. And she was our family doctor. We would turn to her for medical advice and medical information, and somehow she just knew these things, and usually she was right. So, and she was also a big Indians fan, and she would tell us that she was calling the dugout when she thought that they were screwing up or needed to change pitchers. She goes, "I'm serious," she'd say. But, and we were inclined to believe her because it was something that she would do. So, and Maury just, and Maury recounted to us his favorite recollections of Lindy, that it seems like, almost every day after school, she and her girlfriends would have a dance party in our living room with their little red box of 45 record player playing and blasting their favorite songs, and all of the girls, especially Lindy, would be dancing their asses off, as he said. And they spoke a few months ago and reminisced about Lindy and her friends going to the Chesterland Hullabaloo, where she would watch her friend Eric Carmen and the Cyrus Erie performing. This is what she loved to do. So Maury said he would always remember her beautiful smile and stories that made everyone fall off with laughter, and of course her dancing her ass off. But I remember Lindy and her high school friends hanging out in our kitchen on Friday and Saturday nights. Sometimes it would spill out into our driveway, sometimes into the Trentinelli's driveway. Everyone was drinking beer and smoking cigarettes, and they were shouting and storytelling, and of course a lot of laughter. But I remember there was this one guy that would come over our house, and he was a little different than the others. And he'd park his car across the street from our house, and the rear end of the car was kind of raised up a bit. And I guess that was cool at the time. Maybe it still is. I don't know. But he'd come over, and visit for a while. And as I said, he was a little different. It seemed this high school kid, from what I know, he was essentially raising himself. I think he lived with his grandmother. He worked at the Montefiore home and other jobs. And I don't know what he did at the Montefiore home, but I knew that was where old people were cared for. So he was always nice to me and kind and generous. And I think our parents liked him and then grew to love him. Eventually, he convinced Lindy to marry him. If you see the picture on the board out there, the one that strikes me the most is their wedding photo. And you can tell in that photo what my parents knew, that he would always love her and would always take care of her. And he has. I think we're all fortunate to have known Lindy and to have loved her and enjoyed her stories and her laughter and her smile. So Lindy, I think we'll miss you more than you would ever have imagined, but you'll always be in our hearts.
Well, Mom, you sure know how to throw a party, only this time, you're not the one responsible for all the cooking. As we look around this room, it's amazing to see all the people whose lives you have touched, all the people who loved you. Everyone who walked into our house immediately became family. One thing for sure, you wouldn't let anyone go hungry. People knew that when they came to our house, they were going to eat and go home completely stuffed and have food to take home. We're already talking about starting our diets on Monday. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and everything you've done for me. You were there from the moment Gavin was born to help me and even helped deliver Madison. You gave Madison her name because you hated all the weird names I came up with. You were always there for me and my kids, whether it was getting them on the bus, buying them their winter jackets, helping them study for tests, and completing homework. You entertained Madison for hours on end with coloring, baking, and word searches. You were the best lifeguard to them, sitting on the deck and yelling when they spent too much time underwater. You always had Gavin's back, listening when he called to tell on me. I always knew that after Gavin hung up the phone with you, I would be getting a phone call, yelling, "Leave the kid alone." Gavin and Madison will always remember your last words to them, "Be good." For this, Mom, I am always grateful, and I am sorry about the meatloaf.
You are the true matriarch of the Tucker household. You are our rock, our best friend, and our #1 fan. You're on the sidelines of everything, even Allison's track meets, waiting for hours for her to run just one race. You took me all across the East Coast for soccer and softball and continue to travel at least once a month to visit me in North Carolina, although I know you really only came to watch Stephen's football games. You were the best co-wedding planner and gave Stephen and I the most beautiful day. I hope Dad knows he needs to answer the phone around 6:30 every night as I call on my way home from work. I loved our daily chats or our quick hellos. I could always rely on you when I called you from the middle of the grocery store to tell me what to cook or what ingredients I was missing. You taught me how to be a great wife. Stephen says thank you very much, Mom. You are our guarantee. We always knew if we called you, you would be there to help. You were always right. Craig says he wished he listened to you a few years ago. You always made sure we were all together on holidays. We loved the way you wrapped up every little thing, and we mean everything, for Hanukkah, and how when you got tired, you just started to throw things in bags. You always left the price tags on because you were so excited to show off your great deal. Did I mention that the Ohio State-Michigan game was a holiday in our house? For our mom, it always was. Although you had a weird way of showing it, we always knew that you loved Dad. These last 2 years allowed us to witness just how much Dad loves you. He never missed an appointment or a treatment, but he always caused trouble when he was there. You always said he would make sure to hit every bump on the road and drive extra slow, but we knew his slow driving was because he had precious cargo. Don't worry, Mom. We'll take care of Dad. We'll make sure he showers, eats something other than ho-hos and ding-dongs, and that he wears his teeth. He's got them in today. We can't promise he won't say something stupid or embarrass you in some way. Well, because to quote you, Bob, you're such a moron. This is going to be really hard. We're going to miss you like crazy. But your smile and the sound of your laugh will forever be in our hearts. We love you, Mom. Okay, I'm done.
And to those words spoken as a prayer, let us say amen. So Lindy breathed her last during the book of Numbers. And in the Torah, the book of Numbers begins, we just began just a couple of weeks ago, begins with a census of the Israelites, the Israelite males available for military service, and would count the number of each of the people in each of the tribes who would carry and who would schlep the materials for the wilderness tabernacle, who would carry these things, who would carry the things for the ark. Lots of names and lots of numbers. And when you take a look at the book of Numbers, quite often people are just, bored to tears. It's just a bunch of names and numbers. But whenever anything is in the Torah, there's a deeper meaning, if it's not evident right away. And so Rashi, an 11th century biblical commentator from France, brings a beautiful insight. Why all the names, why all the numbers? It shows God's intense love for each and every person. You don't count things and you don't count people that are unimportant. You count people that are important. I mean, unless you're Meshuggah and you just count, things that are unimportant because you've got OCD or something. But other than that, you really do count people who are important. And so as we've gathered here today to recount Lindy Tucker's life, you guys pretty much covered the waterfront. I mean, the only things that I would want to add would be that her parents, Arthur and Gladys Hemlock, of blessed memory. She was one of 5 children. Her older brother, Steve, of blessed memory, Lindy, right? Sherry, who it's really hard for me to say Sherry and not Cherie, but Sherry, her husband, Bill, Scott, his wife, Donna. Maury had to go back to Big D, so he's in Dallas, and Delia, is that her? Bob and Lindy married September 8th, 1974. It was almost 45 years. Some people said it wouldn't last 6 months, and they were right. It didn't last 6 months. It's almost 45 years. And blessed with 3 children, Craig, Allison, Ashley, Ashley's husband, Stephen, and the best, the grandchildren, Gavin and Madison. It's not that the kids aren't great, but there's never any competition with grandchildren. It's just sweetness and light with grandchildren. She graduated Heights High School in 1970, and as we know, she and Bob met in high school. I'm wearing an Ohio State tie because of the Ohio State holiday, Ohio State-Michigan holiday. She liked all sports except for basketball. She didn't like the squeaky shoes. It was something about that sound. That's what they told me. But it wasn't any stranger than most of the other stuff we said as we were talking. Just fantastic. She had a positive attitude, and she fought cancer very, very courageously for a couple of years. You'd ask her how she was doing. She always said, "I'm fine." And her license plate was Ma Tuck. Apparently, Ashley's friends were doing sports in high school, and they would all come over, and she would, discipline them as needed to be. And so she was Ma Tuck. She breathed her last on Saturday. Saturday is Shabbat. Shabbat is a time of rest. And so now this is a time of rest. For her, there's no more deterioration. There's no pain. There's just rest and wholeness and peace. And Judaism believes that her soul is returning to God to be with the souls of her loved ones and the ancestors of our people. We learn this in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. And we believe our souls live on in a time called Olam Haba, the world to come. This is a place, but Olam Haba is a time. It's a spiritual time. God takes care of the souls of our loved ones and our souls as well when we go. No one's in a hurry. However, when you go, your soul will be together with your dear sister and husband and mother and Nana. The family has allowed us to send along some old prayer books. We actually sent along a couple of Passover Haggadahs, old Passover Haggadahs, because just as you bury the body of your loved one, it's a mitzvah, it's a religious obligation to escort holy books of our tradition to a respectful burial as well. So as you think of Lindy, there's so many things that you can do to pay a fitting tribute to her memory. Remembering is good, however, doing in her loving memory is better than that, because you'll do good things and you'll help other people. Somebody's got to learn how to make the meatloaf, the meatloaf didn't turn out well, you said, but you've got to make out other things that she baked and cooked. I mean, these are things that, it's kind of a gastronomic remembrance, gastronomic Judaism or gastronomic whatever you are. It's the gastronomic part is important. You taste things and you smell them. So we conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai Natan, v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Muvarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. Did she have an alarm on her car? No? Okay, well, it's... Allison, you're off the hook. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, yimru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dearly departed Lindy Tucker. Please rise for El Malay Rachamim. Somebody is really in need of... I'll see if I can sing El Malay to that beat. At least then it'll be... Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of our dear Lindy Tucker. Her Hebrew name is Devorah Bat Moshe Aharon. Devorah means honeybee, and honeybee's the female honeybee is the one that's got the stinger. We laughed about that too. But anyway, Devorah Bat Moshe Aharon. Into your care we entrust the spirit of our dear Lindy, for you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Malay Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim U'Tohorim, Gezohar Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Devorah Bat Moshe Aharon, V'halachal Olama, Ba'al Harachamim, Yastireha B'Setek Nafav Le'olamim, Vayitzroh B'Tzroh HaChaim, Et Nishmata, Adonai Hu Nachalata, V'Tanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkava, V'Nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Lindy Tucker. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. In a moment, the funeral directors will come in and give us instructions. We're going to go in procession to Mount Olive Cemetery. And at that point, we'll put the casket in the ground and we'll lay her body to rest, and we'll recite the Kaddish prayer there. And then in lieu of flowers, the family is asking that if you would consider, among the many places to make donations in her loving memory, but consider first the Cleveland Clinic Cancer Patient Support Services. And we'll be at the family residence today until 7:30, and Wednesday and Thursday from 2 to 4 and 6 to 8. We'll be saying Kaddish for her for the next month at Temple Israel Ner Tamid, all of our services, whether anybody from the family is in attendance or not.